my name is Heather Feather. I am the owner of Rare Bird Medicine, and today's topic is Memento Mori. This statement is Latin for remember you must die. And if I were to give my life a theme, it would be that statement. My life is a nonstop journey of constantly being reminded that I'm going to die. And I used to really hate the teacher of death. I've always said I feel married to death. I'm married to Hades. I'm married to Osiris. Actually, in the plant medicines of Bufo and Madre Ayahuasca, I am often Isis, grieving the loss of my beloved who's been chopped up into 14 pieces. And sometimes I think that's, because I was likely still breastfeeding while my mom was grieving the loss of her husband who drowned in the Brazos River. I came into this world with a tremendous amount of grief being present as soon as I got here, and my entire family and me not being in a space where I even understood what was going on. So I was almost kind of born into death, it feels like. And people have been dying ever since then. And when I go on hikes, I see dead things. It was in California. California was a really magical place that I deeply loved living, aside from the fact that there was a situation that was driving me bananas. But I love living there. It was beautiful. And I go to this park, and this massive raven, the largest black bird I've ever seen in my life, landed right in front of where my car parked, my little golden egg, landed right in front of it. I mean, I was able to get out of my car, stand with him. He just was like, girl, I'm here to see you. We just were hanging out. I was like, what's up? And my primary power animals is Snowy Owl, but I work with all the power animals, and they're all over my Yule tree. And as this death totem, because raven, crow, owl, those can all be death totems, death symbols. They don't always represent that. There are periods in time in history where they represented that. But as soon as I start this hike, I immediately see a dead mole. I've never seen a mole in my life, but I guarantee if I'm going to see one, it's probably going to be dead. And I've had periods due to the hubris of ego where I was like, am I like the angel of death? Because death follows me everywhere. Our good friend Wells once said, to my sister, we hang out with a bunch of punk rockers and people that live more high-risk lives in a lot of ways. And so, she's had a lot of death too, my sister and our friend Wells. And it's like when you engage with a lot of high-risk people, you might expect to witness a lot of death. I have found death to be a delicious teacher, a wonderful hand to hold throughout this life, even though it makes my hands icy cold to be holding the hand of death all the time. Because we're going to die. You're going to die. I say it all the time. You're going to rot off the bone or turn to ash. It's coming like a freight train, death coming like a freight train. And I say that all the time. And if it sounds abrasive, it's because you haven't spent a lot of time probably sitting with that peace. It can be uncomfortable. There's a Buddhist meditation where you can lay in corpse pose and literally imagine yourself rotting off your bones. Or I like to imagine myself, because I plan on being burned to ash, because Mom always said fire's very cleansing, just burning in a crematorium. That's one of my meditations. Burning in this crematorium, getting rid of this flesh costume. One thing I can tell you as we consider the reality that we're all going to die, is that there's no greater opportunity than when you're looking at a dead thing to recognize that it's just a shell of the being that was present. And every dead body I've ever looked at, I've had the grace to look at many dead human bodies as well as dead creatures, because every time I hike, I swear there's a dead creature somewhere. God's going to be like, look, that's dead. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you. Yes, I knew there'd be some dead on this hike. Thank you. Appreciate it. But I've had ample opportunity to look upon the dead. And every dead body I look at, I think, well, that's just a shell. That's just a shell of what was there. Now, scientifically, we say energy cannot be created nor destroyed. And we think of energy as the atoms or subatomic particles or quarks that comprise our reality. Everything is made of atoms. Some things have a cellular nature and they're a living organism, but everything, animate or inanimate, is comprised of atoms. Atoms are comprised of subatomic particles. Subatomic particles are comprised of quarks. And everything I just said is made of 99.9999999% emptiness. Are you sure we're here? Are you sure we're here if we're empty? Are we here? Like, really, let's stew in this for a minute. Are we here if we're made of emptiness? But as we talk about our reality and our presence of existence, because here I am making a video with this cellular device, a dream within a dream is what I'd call it. If I am here, what I know to be true is that my personality is an energetic dynamic. And every dead body I've ever looked at, I just go, wow, this really is just a flesh costume. Like, there's an entire energetic dynamic that was present that is not present. There's an entire personality matrix that is not in that flesh sack that's about to rot or turn to ash. That's what I can tell you. And so I've spent a lot of my life, almost said flirting with death, but I'd say it's been flirting with me. Flirts with me a bunch. But really kind of reviewing death. And so when my mom died, I went to the library and I grabbed every book on near-death experiences I could find. And I grabbed every book on reincarnation I could find. You know, my mom had a little book by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, which is the gentleman that brought the concept of many of the Hinduism concepts and constructs to the West. And he had many, many books that he published. And so she had one on reincarnation. And I could see from a baby to a grown man to an old man to back into being a baby again. And so I could see this concept of reincarnation in my home. But as a person that was raised with freedom of religion, thank you. What a grace. May we all be raised with such a grace and stop pushing our ideas into other souls and let souls determine what they are. May all beings know their sovereignty. May they know their autonomy. May that grace be handed down. You know, I think even if I wanted to take my child, because my mom offered us to go to her faith tradition. She went to Unity Church and First Church Religious Science. She was a metaphysician. And we would go because they had donuts and coffee that we could fill up with sugar. So I just be drinking coffee and eating donuts and meditating, you know. But you know, maybe I'll offer children, you can come to this, but I don't require that you believe like me because you are a sovereign entity that I don't own. You're not a possession. Okay, let me not get on my high horse about freedom of religion real quick. Anyhow, I really went to study because I was obsessed with where did my mom go. My mom was a deeply spiritual woman. She offered me exposure to all kinds of things. Since she's exited, I've been to Sufi meditation. I've gone to Tibetan Buddhist prayers. I've exposed myself to a lot of things. My sister went to a Tibetan Buddhist circle for a long time. And I really became obsessed with the idea because I've never been so present. The moment my mother died, time froze. It's the reason I know time is an illusion because I've experienced it firsthand. I was in the hospital and everything froze. And because I've never been so hyper present in my life. I would assume for those of you that have had babies, I would assume that's what happens when you birth a child. I would assume a hyper presence happens, but I was very present in that moment. And I was like, oh, time isn't real because there's nowhere else to be. Like my mind has no ability to be anywhere but right here at the exit point of my mother. And I was studying all these near-death experiences and they have many beautiful things to say. I remember when I went to go buy my car in Texas, I had this, SUV car that I got some time ago. But the guy that I went to buy it from had a near-death experience. What I found is that many people with their near-death experiences, they experience initially what they believe will happen. So like a more atheistic or agnostic person will experience themselves floating in blackness, which that's an option. Not one I would choose, but you do you, boo-boo. But, this guy really believed in hell and also believed he was bad. And so he had this experience of hell. What I've found to be true is that most people, whatever they experience initially, those that are dead for quite some time, transition to seeing their ancestors and those that have crossed over before them. And they experience great lightness of being, and they feel great love and great warmth. And it makes sense that we would initially face what we believe will happen when we die, because there's a thing called having a psychotic break, And so if aliens did land on your front doorstep and you didn't believe them, you might freak out and shoot yourself in the head. I mean, we've seen humans have extreme trauma responses when their reality that they have to face causes cognitive dissonance because their belief is so divergent from the experience that they're actually having. And so there is a show on Netflix called Surviving Death. I'm working on a painting of that now because I'm really wanting to redirect my attention. I've been so focused on this guy that I like, and it doesn't matter at all. Like, he's not, if he was interested in me, I feel certain he has the ability to let me know. The man has a voice, and he has not let me know. And so it's like, I realize I've been so distracted with this guy. I'm about to meet with my friend Christian. He's choosing to be celibate in 2025. So I'm really excited. We met on a dating site, and I didn't feel any sexual chi between us. And it's because he was like, oh, I've been practicing celibacy. And I'm like, well, it energetically shows up for you. Like, as an empath, all I feel from you is just like a desire to be kind of platonic with you, you know? And he's like, yeah. So he's decided to be celibate. We're about to go get some gluten-free treats and some lattes. And I am flirting with this remembrance that I'm going to die. And there's a man that I have my attention on that doesn't have his attention on me. Even when I talk to him, I don't feel a lot of draw in him to connect to me. And so what I've been doing is making bourbon pecan pies and painting my canvas with gesso so that I can do this painting from the show Surviving Death and redirecting my attention to where it belongs. Because remember, I'm going to die. I'm 49 and I'm halfway there. I do believe I'm going to live a long life because I have a huge vision and my soul very strongly intends to create it. And the Akashic Records have told me it is my destiny and it is written that I will create a mystical school. And I know that to be true for me. What I don't want to do is engage with a lot of tomfoolery. I don't like to be in daydreams. So several of my videos recently have been about this because I'm watching me remembering that I'm going to die. And I'm witnessing me in my paradigm getting stuck in this idea of like, oh, what if he was a gentleman caller to me? What if I got to hold his hand? Wouldn't that be a treat to get to kiss his sweet neck? And none of your business, Heather. That's what my sister would tell me. None of your business. Like, yes, I'm a romantic. Yes, I do have a great fear of living this life alone because my mother lost her beloved as soon as I was born and had to raise 3 kids by herself. And I have a fear that I'll spend my life always nurturing others and just being alone. What I've found to be true is that I do live my life nurturing others. It is who I am. It's my nature to nurture. And I have learned to also nurture myself. And I've learned to be my own best friend. And I enjoy my company immensely. I love being with me. I have tons of stuff to do. I have all kinds of stuff to do right now. And instead, I'm going to go hang out with my friend for a minute, because he inspires me to stay devoted to celibacy and to walk a path of living the life that I want to live. And right now, I don't have any gentleman callers. I don't have someone coming towards me in my life. And I don't want to get distracted with this idea that I could be with the beloved when that's not the current manifestation that warrants my energy. And so do you think about your death? Do you ever do a corpse meditation in which you imagine your flesh rotting off your bones or imagine yourself burning in a crematorium? Fun. Here's some fun hobbies you could get into this holiday season. Here to help. Do you ever consider that every breath you take is a breath closer to the grave? Memento Mori. Are you considering you're going to rot off the bone and turn to ash? One day you're going to be very old. And maybe you have love in your life right now and you might not have it then. So what are you doing to care for yourself, to care for your body, to care for your mind, to care for your heart, to care for your spirit? This is one of the number one messages Heather keeps bringing back alive. Because if I'm going to be in this paradigm and I'm going to definitely, without question, exit it, then let's go ahead and have a life worth living. And a life worth living is a life worth loving myself, worth putting my attention where it's warranted. Do you have your attention where it serves? My attention never serves in judgment. I'm not here to judge you. I'm not here to judge anyone, ever. My attention is well warranted in creative aspects, in study, and in teaching. These are the things that I be and the things that I do. Are you living the life you want to live? And do you remember that either way, death coming like a freight train? You can always subscribe to Rare Bird Medicine on YouTube, like and comment there. I always love your thoughts. Amen.